Most drivers think their car is slowly wearing out because of age or mileage. That's comforting. It means nothing is really their fault. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. Over 80% of automatic cars don't die naturally. They're quietly damaged every single day by small habits that feel normal, harmless, even smart. Little moments behind the wheel that stack up until one morning the car jerks, slips, refuses to move, and suddenly you're staring at a repair estimate that costs more than a vacation. What makes it worse is that these mistakes don't announce themselves. There's no warning sound, no immediate breakdown, just invisible damage happening inside metal housings you never see. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain. This is an insider tour of what actually shortens the life of automatic cars, why it happens, and how to stop it before it costs you thousands. Let's start with a move almost everyone has done without thinking. You're backing out of a parking spot. You're in a rush. The car is still rolling backward when your hand slides the shifter straight into drive. The car lurches, maybe just a little. You shrug it off and keep going. Inside the transmission, though, something very different just happened. You asked a complex hydraulic system to instantly reverse the direction of power while parts were still moving the opposite way. Clutch packs slammed. Gears fought momentum. Fluid pressure spiked. Nothing broke right away, which is why people keep doing it. But that shock doesn't disappear. It adds up. Over time, shifts get rougher. Engagement gets delayed. And eventually, the transmission starts telling you it's tired. 1 second of patience, waiting until the car fully stops, can add years to an automatic transmission's life. Skip that second often enough, and the bill can land well north of $4,000. And while most people are stressing their transmission without realizing it, they're also quietly destroying another system they use every day, the air conditioning. There's a small button on your dash with a looping arrow. Most drivers either ignore it or use it wrong. On a blazing summer afternoon, you jump into a hot car and crank the AC while pulling in outside air. What you've just done is ask the system to cool furnace hot air over and over again instead of reusing the cooler air already inside the cabin. The compressor works harder, runs hotter, and wears faster. I've seen compressors fail shockingly early simply because drivers never used recirculation when they should have. Flip it on during extreme heat and the cabin cools faster while the system works less. But leave it on forever and you create a different problem. Moisture buildup, foggy windows, stale air. The trick isn't choosing one mode. It's knowing when to switch. Cars are designed for balance. Ignore that, and parts fail long before their time. That same, I'll deal with it later attitude shows up at the fuel gauge. Driving with the fuel light on feels harmless. The engine still runs. The car still moves. But inside the tank, the fuel pump is slowly cooking itself. Modern pumps live submerged in fuel for a reason. It cools and lubricates them. Run low too often and that cooling disappears. The pump pulls in hotter fuel, sometimes even air, and works harder to maintain pressure. On top of that, the lowest part of the tank is where sediment lives. Dirt, rust, and debris that normally stay settled get stirred up when fuel levels drop. Filters clog sooner. Injectors suffer. Pumps fail. Replacing a fuel pump isn't cheap, and replacing injectors is even worse. Keeping the tank above a quarter full isn't superstition. It's protection. Then there's the warning lights, the ones people treat like decorative dashboard art. A glowing check engine light isn't a suggestion. It's a message. Sometimes it's something minor, sure. Other times it's a misfire, a failing sensor, or a problem that's actively overheating expensive components. Ignore it long enough and the damage multiplies. I've watched drivers roll in with melted catalytic converters because they meant to check it later. The car had been begging for attention for months. Warning lights exist to save you money, not annoy you. And speaking of ignoring simple protections, let's talk about parking. A lot of drivers with automatics never touch the parking brake. They slide into park and walk away. Inside the transmission, a small metal pin, about the size of your finger, locks the drivetrain in place. That pin was never designed to hold the full weight of a car day after day, especially on hills. Use the parking brake and the weight is shared. Skip it and all the stress lands on that single component. When it wears or snaps, the repair isn't small. It involves tearing into the transmission to fix a part that costs very little but takes massive labor to reach. Using the parking brake isn't old-fashioned. It's mechanical common sense. Another habit people swear saves fuel actually does the opposite. Coasting in neutral down hills feels clever. Less engine load, right? In modern cars, that logic is backwards. When you coast in gear, fuel flow is often cut completely. The engine uses momentum instead of gasoline. Shift into neutral and the engine has to idle, burning fuel the entire time. You also lose engine braking, rely more on your brakes, and re-engage the transmission under load when you shift back. More wear, less control, no savings. Staying in gear lets the car do exactly what it was engineered to do. Cold starts are where engines and transmissions are most vulnerable, yet that's when many drivers are the most aggressive. Oil and transmission fluid thicken in the cold. They haven't reached every bearing, clutch, and passage yet. Revving hard seconds after startup means metal moving before it's fully protected. You don't need to idle for 10 minutes, but you also don't need to launch like a race car. A short pause, then gentle driving, lets fluids warm and circulate properly. Most long-term wear happens in those first few minutes. Treat them with respect. Now imagine combining cold fluid with steep terrain. Driving downhill in full drive while riding the brakes overheats everything. Brake pads glaze. Rotors warp. Transmission fluid cooks as it struggles to manage speed. Lower gear modes exist for a reason. They use engine compression to control descent, reducing heat and wear across the board. Ignore them and you're turning gravity into a repair bill. Water is another silent killer people underestimate. That dramatic splash through a deep puddle looks harmless, until water finds its way into places it doesn't belong. Automatic transmissions have vents. They need to breathe. In many cars, those vents sit low. Submerge them and water gets pulled inside. Once water mixes with transmission fluid, damage begins immediately. Clutch material degrades. Lubrication fails. Slipping follows. Draining the fluid doesn't undo it. I've seen transmissions fail hours after a single deep water drive. Avoid it whenever possible. Then there's neglect, the slow, quiet kind. Skipping oil changes doesn't just dirty the engine. It starves it. Oil breaks down. Additives deplete. Sludge forms. Heat rises. Metal wears. Transmission fluid suffers the same fate, despite what lifetime fluid marketing suggests. Fluids don't live forever. Heat kills them. Time contaminates them. Changing fluid is maintenance. Not changing it is gambling. Too much oil is just as bad as too little. Overfill and the crankshaft whips oil into foam. Foam doesn't lubricate. Pressure drops. Seals fail. Suddenly you're fixing leaks you created by trying to be helpful. Warming a car incorrectly causes its own damage. Long idling wastes fuel and delays proper warm-up. Gentle driving warms engines and transmissions faster and more evenly. Flooring it cold does the opposite. And here's the quiet truth most people miss entirely. Transmissions need warming too. Cold fluid shifts poorly. Hard acceleration before it warms strains clutch packs and valves. Give it time. Let it flow. The car will thank you later. Every one of these mistakes feels small in the moment. That's why they're so dangerous. They don't punish you immediately. They wait. They stack. And when the bill finally comes, it feels unfair, like the car failed you. In reality, it was just responding to years of invisible stress. If this opened your eyes even a little, do yourself a favor. Like the video. Share it with someone who thinks automatics are indestructible. Subscribe for more real-world car care without the fluff. And comment below telling me what country you're watching from, because driving habits and car designs change around the world, and I read every comment.